In this lesson, we're going to use the zero rule for exponents. The zero exponent rule is very simple. All you have to do is remember that any non-zero quantity raised to the zero power equals 1. In other words, any number, as long as that number is not zero, take that number, whatever it is, and raise it to the zero power. It's going to equal 1, period. That's it. For example, 9 raised to the zero power equals 1. Okay, any number, as long as that number, that base number, as long as that base number is not zero, but that base number can be a negative, it can be a positive, it is still going to equal 1. So here, this is different. Remember, the negative in front of anything negates it. So for example, your original answer, you had 9 to the zero power equals 1. If we put a negative in front of it, we're negating it, which means it's going to equal -1. So all of these are going to equal 1. You just have to decide whether it's going to equal +1 or -1, and that's simply based on the rules. Let's look at another scenario. What if you have it in parentheses? So here we have -9 in parentheses raised to a zero power. Well, you're going to have to remember that rule we spoke about where any negative raised to an even power is going to equal a positive, and any negative raised to an odd power will equal a negative. Now 0 is considered to be an even number, such as 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. You're skipping every other number. And since it is considered to be an even number, anytime you have an even exponent, a negative raised to an even exponent, that will always equal a positive. So that's going to equal 1. Now, if we negate that, then it's going to equal -1. Simplify some expressions using the zero exponent rule. So 6 to the zero power equals 1. 12 to the zero power equals 1. 1 plus 1 equals 2. For this next examples, you have two terms that are sandwiched together, joined together. That means they're being multiplied, so be careful with that. 2 does not have an exponent of 0, only the x, only the x. So yes, x raised to the zero power is 1. Doesn't matter whether it's a number or a variable, as long as it's not 0 raised to the zero power. So x raised to the zero power equals 1. 2 times 1 equals 2. On this next example, we have everybody inside. This is the power rule. That's going to be raised to the zero power, which eventually they're going to equal 1 because you know that any non-zero number raised to a zero power is going to equal 1. But let's go ahead and use the power rule and write it out. So -2 raised to the zero power, and then x raised to the zero power. -2 raised to the zero power is 1. X to the zero power is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So we knew all of that was going to equal 1 anyway, because the whole thing was raised to a zero power, which meant that it was going to equal 1. And there you have it, the zero exponent rule.